Welcome back. You are watching Morning Live. Khethiwe Zulu has written a book called South African History Retold that deals with explaining the history of the people that some South African street names have been changed. The book has also been translated into IsiZulu and turned into a board game for the enjoyment of families. She joins us now in studio to tell us more about the board game. Very good morning to you, Khethiwe, and thank you so much for coming.
Morning, thank you for having me.
Let's first talk about the purpose of the book and what it is that spurred you on to set about going to find, some of the truths around some of the many untold stories.
When the street renaming process started, I felt like a lot of the people that the street names had been turned into weren't explained properly, and we didn't know who they were. So most of us were driving around with an irritation of, I wonder who this person is now. I wonder. Yes. So I thought I turned the irritation into some sort of like finding information about who they were. And once I started to realize, the irritation turned to massive humility, and started to even respect why the process had to be done. And after I had done that, I decided to share the information in the form of a book, a very compressed book. I didn't want to write a history book. I wanted to write a reference guide that if you interacted with the street on your drives, you could literally just go to a page and find who that person was and be better knowledgeable about who these people were.
That's fantastic and so different. Talk to us about just some of the street names that you got to see first by happenstance, and then secondly, you decided that, you know what, I want to investigate and dig deeper.
I will start with the most problematic one. There's a street name in Durban called Problem Mkhize, and just by virtue of the street name being Problem Mkhize, it was one of those that many people made fun of. This person must have been a problem, that's why ganjan. Then you start to investigate him, and he was a military veteran, a master tactical mind when it comes to warfare, and you start to realize educated as well, and made valuable contribution to the military style of South Africa during Mkhonto weSizwe as well as post-apartheid, and you start to be humbled by just the virtue of these people. And you also interact with street names like or Pixlika Seme, a lot of them based in Johannesburg. You know, Andrew Zondo, that were just positioned as people who bombed stuff, and then you see the rationale behind it, right or wrong, but you start to appreciate that there was a science behind what they were doing. It wasn't just people doing, destroying. It was people that fought very hard for you and I to be here.
And in your process of learning about these names, behind these street names, what did you consult? Who did you consult? Was there a lot of reading and researching involved, and how did you go about doing that?
There was a lot of desktop research. There was a lot of reading books about them. There was a lot of reading books about just the struggle, just to set the political background, because the book is not only about the street names. It starts to talk to what was happening even during the times of the struggle. So it maps out apartheid all into who the people were that were the faces of it. And after that, because there's extensive work that needs to be done, I tried to compress it into a minimum of 2 paragraphs to make it as accessible as possible for kids that are even 13 years old. So the book is very, very easy to engage with. It's literally like a reference card, an index. I keep the book in my cubbyhole, and sometimes I see a street that I've sort of like forgotten who they were. I pull out the book literally in 3 minutes. I go through who the person was.
I think that's fantastic, because also in the age of social media, you know, we're so used to reading the shortest of paragraphs.
We have the concentration span of 140 characters.
That's me actually these days. You know, it's very difficult to get me reading a full book. So I love the fact that it's just so accessible and so easy to navigate. Let's talk about the translation into IsiZulu. Why was that important or significant for you to do?
Well, I come from KwaZulu-Natal, so it was the language that I knew. And I thought, let me start there. In terms of a representation of my province as well. And most people, obviously, in KwaZulu-Natal read Zulu. And I just thought, let me make the access even more accessible. So that even Ugogo at home can sit and read about her time or read to her grandchildren. So that was the rationale behind the Zulu translation. The dream moving forward is to translate it into all of our official languages so that access is that much more accessible.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about the board game. Idlala kanjani?
Okay.
What are some of the rules?
Okay, some of the board game is a question and answer game.
Okay.
So the questions come actually from the book. People who've read the book fare better in the game.
Okay.
But I realize that most people just like to dive in and then they get stuck. But it's okay because the answers are immediately available at the back of each card. And it's a board game, so you navigate the board and land on spots that are color-coded that represent questions such as what, who, where, when, and ish. Ish are general knowledge questions. Even if you did read the book, you are not going to find the answers from ish in the book. You just need to know your South Africa. And it's you try to get from 1 to 100, and then it has some specific South African language, like Boza, means you control the game. You can ask people to move back steps. It has Pola, where you miss a turn, and then it has bridges. So you land at the bottom of the bridge, you can move up and get ahead of your opponent, or if you, unfortunately you are at the top of the bridge, you get moved down. So it's very interactive, and I enjoy most when people show me videos of themselves playing the game, and I get a lot of those, and it's exciting.
It's amazing. Board games have really started to make a huge comeback in today's culture, where people are trying to stay more at home and spend more time with their families. So fantastic idea. Does the book and the board game come as a package?
No, it doesn't. They are sold separately.
Okay.
Most people prefer to buy it as a package because they've heard that if you read the book, you fare better in the game. But they are sold separately, and the board game is doing better than the book. A bit hurtful, but it's okay. We all will live. They are separate entities.
And where are they both available?
They're available on KhethiweZulu.com. It's my website, and you just place your order there.
That is fantastic. Khethiwe Zulu, thank you so much. What an inspiring chat. I love what you've done. Really just turned something that a lot of us may not necessarily pay attention to and turn it into something quite meaningful. Just before I do let you go, though, I do want to ask, you find people who are like, our government is wasting so much money with rechanging and renaming things. Why is it so important that we do rename and have these name changes to represent the majority of our country?
I think it's important to take history back. And it's important to place history accurately. We were studying a history for a very long time that didn't include us, and we're the majority of the people in the country. It's important for our children to know where they come from. It's important to know that the people that got them here a voice, me and you talking like this, Pearl, is because of those people. I get hurt when there's voter turnout that is low amongst the youth because it lacks respect. Once you know who these people are, you will be the first one out of bed to cast your vote. People died to allow you that opportunity.
Who they are and what they've done. Thank you so much, Khethiwe.
Thank you for
You've been
having me.
amazing. That's Khethiwe Zulu, who recently authored a book called South African History Retold, a book informing the public about who our struggle heroes were that have had street names as well and buildings named after them. She's also turned the book into a fun board game. They're sold as separates. Make sure that you get them both. She says those who read the book fare better in the board game, but some people like to think I'm up and they just go straight in. So make sure that you get them both. Khethiwe Zulu was our guest, and of course she's got a website where both the book and the board game are available.